The scent of lilies, our chosen wedding flower. Once promised a future steeped in intoxicating bliss, but now, that delicate fragrance merely serves as a cruel, haunting reminder of the elaborate, sickening deception that had, for months, been meticulously woven around me, a suffocating shroud of lies so expertly crafted by the woman I believed to be my soulmate. My fiancé, who, with an innocent smile and a voice laced with the sweetest, most convincing sincerity, consistently claimed that her best friend Sarah was tirelessly dedicating countless hours to helping her plan every intricate detail of our rapidly approaching wedding. A joyous celebration that was, to me, the very embodiment of our shared dreams and unwavering commitment. My heart, once overflowing with a blissful, unshakable trust, had swelled with gratitude for this supposed act of friendship, this selfless dedication to our perfect day. But as the weeks bled into months, a subtle, almost imperceptible dissonance began to hum beneath the surface of my contentment, a faint discordant note in the symphony of our seemingly perfect love. Because her phone calls with Sarah, ostensibly about floral arrangements and seating charts, grew increasingly hushed, her voice often dropping to a barely audible whisper whenever I entered the room, and her previously open, accessible laptop, once shared without a second thought, now seemed to possess a mysterious, almost impenetrable barrier. Its screen often closed or quickly minimized whenever I approached. Tiny, almost insignificant anomalies that, at first, I dismissed as mere wedding stress, but which over time began to coalesce into a nagging, insidious unease, a cold premonition of the profound betrayal that was about to shatter my entire existence. My gut, a visceral barometer of impending doom, had been subtly churning for weeks, a persistent, low-grade discomfort that had finally escalated into a churning vortex of suspicion, making it impossible to ignore the growing chasm between what I was told and what I instinctively felt. And after countless sleepless nights spent staring at the ceiling, replaying every whispered conversation and every quickly minimized screen, the agonizing internal debate about respecting privacy versus confronting a horrifying truth finally reached its breaking point, tipping irrevocably towards the desperate, unsettling need for answers. No matter how devastating those answers might prove to be, with a heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird desperate for escape, each beat a painful throb of impending reckoning. I waited for her to leave for her usual morning spin class, her parting kiss a phantom sensation on my cheek, and then, with trembling fingers that still felt profoundly disloyal, I navigated to her personal laptop, a device that, until this agonizing moment, had been a symbol of our shared open lives, now transformed into a clandestine portal to her secret world. A world I was about to invade with a desperate, chilling resolve. I wasn't a tech expert, not by any stretch of the imagination, but I remembered her often repeated habit of using the same easily guessable password for everything, a combination of her birthday and our anniversary data. Small, innocent detail that now became the key to unlocking her digital vault of lies. And with a single, excruciatingly slow movement, I typed in the sequence. My breath held captive in my chest, anticipating the barrier that would protect her privacy, or, conversely, confirm my worst fears. The screen, with a soft click and a sudden blinding luminescence, sprang to life, granting me unrestricted access. Its glowing surface a terrifying gateway to the truth I so desperately sought, and my stomach immediately clenched, a knot of PC dread forming deep within me, as the sheer volume of unread emails and unfamiliar subject lines instantly confirmed that this was not the innocent account of a fiancé planning her wedding, but something far more insidious, something steeped in a calculated deception that stretched far beyond my current comprehension. My eyes, darting frantically across the screen, first scanned for any mention of wedding plans, for any reassuring sign that my suspicions were unfounded. But instead, my gaze snagged on a series of emails with a familiar yet utterly unwelcome name in the sender field. Mark, her ex, a ghost from her past, whom she always claimed was long gone, completely out of her life, and had no bearing on our future. A claim that now felt like a cruel, mocking jest. A wave of icy dread washed over me, a physical manifestation of the dawning horror. As I clicked on the most recent exchange, my finger trembling with a mixture of disbelief and a desperate need for confirmation, and the words that flooded the screen were not about wedding invitations or floral arrangements, but about detailed travel itineraries, flight times, and hotel bookings for a week-long trip. A secret rendezvous planned for just 2 weeks before our wedding, a trip that was clearly, undeniably, between her and him. Her ex-boyfriend, a revelation. It slammed into me with the force of a physical blow, knocking the wind out of my lungs and leaving me gasping for air in the sudden suffocating vacuum of her deceit. The sheer audacity of her betrayal. The calculated cruelty of planning a secret escape with her ex-lover while I, the unsuspecting groom, was meticulously paying for every single detail of our elaborate wedding. From the opulent venue to the expensive caterer, from the custom-designed dress to the meticulously chosen honeymoon suite. All of it, with my own hard-earned money, twisted the knife of betrayal deeper into my already bleeding heart, making my blood run cold, then boil with furious righteous indignation, because it wasn't just infidelity, it was a profound calculated insult, a contemptuous disregard for my love, my trust, and my financial sacrifice. My fingers now moving with a furious, almost uncontrollable urgency, scrolled frantically through the dozens of emails exchanged between them, each message a fresh stab to my already bleeding heart, tearing through the last vestiges of my hope and replacing it with a searing, white-hot rage that threatened to consume me whole. Because these were not mere logistical details about a trip. They were dripping, saturated with casual intimacy, with inside jokes I didn't understand, with pet names she had never used with me, and with brazenly flirty messages that made my stomach churn with a sickening combination of jealousy and profound disgust. Can't wait to finally get you all to myself. Babe, one read. Followed by an emoji of a winking face and a kiss. A seemingly innocuous string of characters that, in this context, felt like a literal punch to my gut, leaving me breathless and dizzy, with a sickening combination of raw pain and boiling fury. Because babe was my endearment, a private term of affection reserved for us, now shamelessly repurposed, grotesquely cheapened. Another message detailed a shared memory from their past, a subtle, painful reminder of a history that should have been long buried, followed by, just like old times, only better. Because this time, no one can stop us. A line that sent a fresh wave of nausea through me, confirming the terrifying depth of their rekindled connection and her utter contempt for our future. For my future. The casual ease with which she discussed our wedding plans in one breath. Sarah thinks the peonies will be perfect, and then, in the very next email, discussed the details of their secret. Illicit rendezvous should we book the suite with the ocean view, my love, was a shocking, grotesque testament to her chilling capacity for compartmentalization, her masterful ability to live a double life, utterly devoid of guilt or remorse, making my blood boil with an intensity that felt utterly unbearable, threatening to erupt into a violent, uncontrollable fury that would consume everything in its path, leaving only scorched earth, where my love, my trust, and my future once stood. The immediate aftermath of this gut-wrenching discovery was a blur of excruciating agony, a profound emotional collapse that left me physically trembling, gasping for air in the suffocating vacuum of her colossal deception, as the horrifying implications of her calculated betrayal washed over me, threatening to drown me in its icy depths, leaving me utterly shattered, hollowed out, and consumed by a profound sense of defilement. The realization that she was not only planning to abandon me just weeks before our wedding, a sacred commitment I had poured my heart and soul into, but was doing so to embark on a romantic getaway with her ex-boyfriend, all while I, the unsuspecting groom, was painstakingly paying for every single luxurious detail of a wedding that was, to her, nothing more than a convenient smokescreen. A meticulously crafted illusion ignited a furious, righteous indignation within me, turning my blood, the molten lead, and my bones to brittle glass. It wasn't merely the fact of her infidelity, a betrayal common enough in its agonizing pain, but the sheer, breathtaking audacity of her callousness, the contemptuous disregard for my love, my financial sacrifice, and my complete vulnerability that truly shattered me, tearing through the last vestiges of my dignity and replacing it with a burning, unyielding resolve. This profound, calculated insult, delivered with such cold precision, transformed my raw pain into a terrifyingly clear purpose. I would not simply grieve, I would act. A cold, terrifying calm settled over me then, replacing the initial shock and gut-wrenching pain with a chilling, resolute clarity, because I knew, with an absolute, unwavering certainty, that what I had to do next would be as meticulously planned, as strategically executed, as her own elaborate and grotesque deception had been, a direct mirroring of her calculated cruelty. My hands, though still trembling with the lingering aftershocks of discovery, now moved with a newfound, almost surgical precision, as I systematically gathered every shred of evidence, every damning email, every detailed flight itinerary, every hotel booking confirmation, every one of those sickeningly flirty messages, transferring them meticulously to a secure, encrypted drive, ensuring that her treachery would be undeniable, indisputable, and irrefutable testament to the depth of her deceit. Because this confrontation, this final devastating expose, would not be a mere emotional outburst, a private scream lost to the walls of our fractured home, but a documented, irrefutable record of her monstrous lies. A chilling testament to the brutal, soul-destroying truth I had so painfully unearthed. I spent the next few days in a self-imposed purgatory, moving through the motions of our shared life with a detached clinical precision, my mind consumed by the intricacies of my plan, observing her with a cold, almost scientific detachment, noting her easy smiles, her casual endearments, her continued feigned enthusiasm for wedding details. Each act of hers a fresh wound that only served to sharpen my resolve. The thought of confronting her immediately, of unleashing the torrent of my pain and rage, was tempting. A visceral urge that throbbed constantly beneath the surface. But I resisted, knowing that raw emotion would only serve to complicate the inevitable, to dilute the impact of her profound betrayal. I needed to be calm, collected, utterly in control, ensuring that when the moment came, her carefully constructed world of lies would collapse with maximum devastating effect. The inevitable confrontation, the moment of reckoning that had been simmering beneath the surface of our lives, finally arrived not with an explosive argument, but with a chilling, calculated precision, initiated by me, when, with a voice devoid of emotion, a tone so flat and controlled it barely sounded like my own, I calmly informed her that I had made some adjustments to our wedding plans. A statement that immediately drew her attention, her eyes usually so guarded, now wide with a flicker of confusion, a subtle hint of unease, that I noted with a grim satisfaction. I sat her down at the kitchen table, the very table where we had spent countless hours envisioning our future, now transformed into a stage for her final act of deceit, and placed the encrypted drive directly in front of her. Its small, unassuming presence belying the catastrophic truth it contained, allowing the weight of its silent accusation to settle heavily between us. Watching intently as her carefully constructed facade began to crack, her initial bewilderment slowly, agonizingly, giving way to a dawning, sickening comprehension. Her eyes darted from the drive to my face, then back again, her breath catching in her throat, as she slowly, imperceptibly, began to understand that the jig was up, that her elaborate game of deception had reached its abrupt, undeniable end. And in that moment, as the realization of her utter exposure washed over her, I saw not the woman I had loved, but a stranger. A calculating stranger whose carefully constructed world of lies was now irrevocably crumbling around her, piece by agonizing piece. The immediate aftermath was a blur of raw, uncontained emotion, a chaotic symphony of denial, accusation, and finally, a profound, gut-wrenching despair that permeated every corner of our once sacred home. Now a battleground of shattered dreams and exposed lies. Her initial reaction was a desperate, almost pathetic attempt at denial. A vehement refusal to acknowledge the irrefutable evidence staring her in the face, as she stammered out frantic, nonsensical excuses. Her voice rising in pitch, her eyes darting wildly, searching for any escape, any plausible explanation for the incriminating emails that now lay exposed before her, each one a damning testament to her calculated betrayal. But as I calmly, methodically presented the incontrovertible proof, the flight details, the hotel bookings, the sickeningly flirty messages with her ex, all meticulously documented on the screen before her, her desperate denials slowly, agonizingly, began to crumble, replaced by a dawning, terrifying realization that her meticulously constructed world of lies had utterly collapsed, leaving her exposed, vulnerable, and utterly defeated. The wedding, once a symbol of our unending love and commitment, was immediately called off. Its elaborate plans and expensive preparations, now nothing more than a painful, humiliating reminder of her profound deceit, a mockery of every vow we had planned to make. The financial impact was significant, a bitter pill to swallow, as all the money I had so lovingly, so generously invested in our shared future, in a celebration of our love, was now effectively lost, swallowed by the gaping maw of her betrayal, a constant, painful reminder of her callous disregard for my trust and my resources, deepening the insult of her actions. The emotional toll was immeasurable, a crushing weight that settled upon my soul, leaving me hollowed out, utterly bereft and profoundly scarred by the sheer depth of her deception, by the realization that the woman I thought I knew, the woman I was preparing to spend the rest of my life with, was, in reality, a master manipulator, a cruel stranger capable of unimaginable duplicity, the bitterness of having paid for everything. For a wedding she clearly had no intention of truly embracing. For a future she was already actively sabotaging with her ex, was a particularly sharp, agonizing sting. A constant reminder of the contempt she held for me, for our relationship, for our entire shared history. In the agonizing months that followed, the painful process of disentangling our lives, of picking up the shattered pieces of my broken heart, felt like an insurmountable task, a journey through a desolate emotional landscape. As I slowly, painstakingly, began the arduous work of healing from the profound trauma of her calculated betrayal, the images of those flirty messages, the meticulously planned secret trip with her ex, and the sheer, brutal audacity of her allowing me to pay for our wedding, all while orchestrating her escape, remained seared into my memory, constant, vivid reminders of the depths of her deception. But with each passing day, with each small victory in reclaiming my independence, their power to inflict pain slowly, almost imperceptibly, began to wane, replaced by a steely resolve to rebuild my life, to forge a new future untainted by her lies. The experience, though devastating, taught me a painful but invaluable truth about the insidious nature of human deceit and the fragility of trust. But it also revealed a profound strength within myself, a resilience I never knew I possessed, a fierce determination to rise above the ashes of her betrayal and reclaim my own happiness, on my own terms. The journey towards healing was long and arduous, marked by moments of profound despair and overwhelming anger, but slowly, painstakingly, I began to find solace in new friendships, in pursuing long-forgotten passions, and in the quiet, comforting moments of solitude, meticulously stitching together the fragments of my shattered self. Until, eventually, the lingering stench of her betrayal began to fade, replaced by the faint nascent fragrance of hope. A fragile promise of a future where trust, honesty, and genuine love would finally be the true architects of my life.